All right, let's go to the next example. In this example, let's say you sell solar, huge industry for us, one of the top 5 or 6 industries we train now. Crazy. So I get to the end after I've gone through everything. Do you feel like this could be the answer for you? Hold on. Why do you feel like it is? Why do you feel like it is though? Or why do you feel like it is? Remember, probing question. Okay, and then the same thing. So what specific aspects of going solar do you feel are really going to help you the most? And you really want to emphasize feel when you ask that. Do you feel are really going to help you the most? Which specific aspects of going solar do you feel like are really going to help you the most besides just lowering the bill? Right, see, I could throw that angle in there if I'm selling solar, all right? What specific aspects of going solar do you feel like are really going to help you the most besides just locking in your rate? See, I can say whatever I wanted to there. Now, this is more of a ninja question here, so don't do this until you learn advanced tonality from us. I could also then at this point, if I wanted to, I don't have to, I could say so. So, I mean, for you, why look at going solar now? I mean, why not just push it down the road and, keep paying the rate hikes like a lot of people do who don't know anything about going solar? I mean, for you, why look at going solar now? Like, why not push it down the road and keep being, forced to pay the rate hikes like a lot of homeowners who don't know anything about solar? Okay, notice I use the word force there. I can use that. Nobody likes to be forced to do anything but the power companies. I used rate hikes rather than saying why not pay the bill, why not keep paying the power bill, or you want to use rate hikes, forced. Those are words, if you're selling solar, that mean a lot. Like a lot of people do who don't know anything about solar. Well, now this homeowner knows everything about solar. So now they feel like because they know everything about solar, they don't want to be like all the other homeowners who don't know about solar, who are still being forced to pay the rate hikes. See what I did there? Now, remember your tonality. You have to learn advanced tonality for this because this is more of a challenging, kind of a challenging, skeptical tone. And what this question does is it gets them to push back on why they feel like they don't want to be like these homeowners and keep paying the rate hikes. Now, if you're selling solar, is that probably something you want the prospect to do? Push back on why, defend themselves on why they don't want to pay the rate hikes anymore, like all the other homeowners who don't know anything about solar? Probably, yes. Now, same thing here, more industry specific. Now, this also can be, even if you're selling solar, you can change, you can tweak this, but notice the structure I used from the other industries I've already showed you in these modules, and even the generic structure. Well, I don't really have anything else to go over. It looks like we've covered the basis of what you're looking for. Really, the next step would be is we'd have you authorize the agreement, and that gives us permission to come out and do the actual site survey on the home to make sure it meets the program's requirements like 100%, which it should from what you've told me, but there's always that small chance that it might not. Would that be appropriate? See what I did there? Pulled it back, but there's always a small chance that it might not. Would that be appropriate? I'm acting like it might not even work for you even after the actual site survey. I'm not being negative, but I'm being more in the middle, more neutral there, okay? We'd have you authorize the agreement. Now, notice, what does authorizing the agreement do? Gives us permission to come out and do the site survey, okay? We're not saying, sign a contract or thing. Authorize the agreement, gives us permission to come out and do the actual site survey on the home to make sure it meets the program's requirements 100%, which, it should be from what you've told me, but there's always that small chance it might not. Would that be appropriate? Yeah, that would be appropriate. See what I did there? Okay. All right, let's go to a completely new industry. You're going to notice that these questions are very similar. Now, this is a second way you can ask commitment questions. So I did want to show you a few different angles. For some industries, we ask it more like this, especially if we're presenting different price point options or different things that they could purchase. So let's say if you're selling final expense, and let's say you're covering 3 different policy options, okay? Now, on this, I want to show you something. So let's say that you're giving them for final expenses like funeral insurance and that type of thing to maybe pay some extra bills off after they pass away for their spouse or their family members who are left behind. So let's say I'm going to give them a high-end option of $40K, okay? All right, let's just do this. We'll do a $30K option, a $15K option, and a $10K option, okay? Notice I'm giving them the bells and whistles right here, 30 grand, because I know most people are gonna pick right here that 15 to 20 option. Now, if I'm talking about 20, I'm probably gonna put this at like 35 to 40, because now it makes the 20 option compared to the 10, and let's say this is at 40, look like a steal of a deal. That's why I'm doing that. And when we get into proposals in another module, I'll show you a little bit more about the psychology of why we're doing that when we're doing 3 different price points, okay? So this is another way to ask commitment questions. I could be a little bit more assumptive, especially with like lower priced products and services. So let's say I go through the options, I go through the different options between the policies, the coverage, all that kind of stuff. And at the end, I'm like, which of those would you maybe lean more towards? Kind of a soft tone, kind of like just a curious tone. Or I could do this. Which one of those would you possibly lean towards more? Especially if they've been surface level with you most of the conversation, which as you get much, much better at NAPQ, because you keep going through the virtual training portals over and over again, you don't just go through it once, but you go through it 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 8 times, 12 times, 15 times. I'm not kidding. The more times you go through it, the more money you'll make, because the more you remember and retain, and especially when you get into more of our advanced training with our sales trainers, where you're in group sessions and you're hearing other people role play from your industry and other industries, you're role playing, you're learning advanced tonality, nuances, you're learning more scripting, you're learning more body language, you're just learning more advanced stuff that can't be really in the portal, because the portal would be like 12,000 hours long. It's already like, geez, I don't know, 45, 50 some hours long. I don't even know what it is now at the time of I'm shooting this. So when you get into more of the group training, you'll get more advanced stuff, because you'll be able to have more nuances and be able to ask questions that you can't ask me virtually right now, right? Okay, which one of these would you maybe lean more towards? I would lean more towards that option. Okay, whatever they said there. And then I might say, how come that one, just so I understand. So if they're like on final expense, I think I'd lean more towards the 20,000. Really? I thought you'd go with like the basic 10,000. How come that one, just so I understand? Well, the reason why I don't want the 10 is because, and then they separate themselves from the lower priced option. Once again, this would be more final expense, but you can use this in other industries as well. It's just a different way to ask commitment questions, okay? Rather than, do you feel like this could be the answer for you? I could go over the different price points if I'm presenting 3 different things, and I could lean in and say, which one of those would you maybe lean more towards, okay? Or which one of those would you possibly lean towards more? Like I said, I can be more assumptive if they've opened up. If they haven't opened up, I'm just going to put the word possibly in there, okay? And then they tell me which one. Okay, how come that one, just so I understand, okay? Then I might ask this. Does this feel like it's what you're looking for to really, I don't know, take that burden off your kids' shoulders so they actually have the money there to pay for all the expenses? So I'd probably shorten this down. Looks like somebody wrote this pretty long. If I'm going to have a long commitment question like this, I really have to pace this out. It's called verbal pacing.